Hello, and once again I'm going to show you some more goodies that I'm adding to my toolbox this year. Again, my whole view and direction that I want to go this year is improving your function and getting to more of the root of the cause of the problem. And one of those things that I've been trained in, and I've heard about it for years, but now I've actually been doing this and it is making a big difference. I even got it done on myself and I couldn't believe it. It was, I'd say, life-changing. So, but what it is, what I'm talking about is the sinus specific or the cranial adjusting through the sinuses. I know it sounds scary, but really what happens is that your skull is made up of a bunch of bones put together. So your bones are kind of interlocked like fingers all through the skull, and so they're made to move just a little bit. And so when you breathe, your sacrum and your skull flexes every time you take a breath in and then out. And so the skull is meant to do that, and because it's a mechanism of pumping the fluid that's inside the brain and the spinal cord. So not the spinal cord, but the sac that holds the spinal cord. So now whenever you have head trauma, you could have concussions, broken noses, anything like that. It could be even from birth, because sometimes going through the canal can jam the bones and they don't get unjammed your whole life. So, but many different ways of getting hit in the head or head trauma can jam these joints, causing the skull not to move properly and flex. When it doesn't move properly, then it creates a lack of pumping of that CSF fluid and you can get headaches. So some of you that have been adjusted, that take supplements, that drink water, that do whatever, and they still can't get rid of the headaches, it's a good possibility that the skull is not moving, and therefore it needs to be adjusted to where it frees up that motion between each of those skull bones. Not only that, but a hit to the face with playing softball or any kind of sports, or just somebody else hitting you. You know, I'd hate for that to happen, but anyway, that does happen, and so that can jam the skull bones in the face. And again, they don't flex properly. Not only that, but it can compromise the sinuses and the sinus passageways to where you don't breathe as easy. You know, a deviated septum, most people know that. So what this is that it goes in. Now, I know it's getting this done at the exact moment. It's a little painful. It's at split second though. And so what I do is I insert a balloon into each sinus and inflate the balloon just a little bit. And what that does is it creates an expansion, therefore moving those sutures or the connections between the cranial bones. And you do that on both sides. And Sandy here, I worked on her a couple of weeks ago, and I've done 3 different treatments on her. Of course, the first one is always a little more dramatic because you don't know what to expect, and there is some pressure going on. But once we start getting all those cranial bones to move, you can move mountains basically, because a lot of times the thing that happened to your skull that caused the sinus cavities or the facial bones to get jammed was probably not a fun event. And so you've got a negative association with that. And whenever you adjust the skull, especially with this technique, some of those emotions may come back, but it's kind of like a letting go or a freeing of those motions. And so Sandy definitely had some emotions tied to those injuries, and so she had felt immediately better afterwards, and she'll tell you this here in a second. But anyway, there's sinuses here, there's sinuses here, and then there's sinuses down here. And so really there's 6 sinus cavities, and I have to do the balloon in each one of those. And of course I'm not going to show you on this, because as soon as I would show anybody, you would turn off the computer immediately and run south. So anyway, so just believe me, it's not just a most pleasant thing, but it's over quick. When you do get it done, it is immediately different. You breathe better. You're just different. So I'll have her explain her story briefly here in just a second. So anyway, I just insert through the nose. It's a little bitty balloon, and I just pump it up a little bit, take it out, it's fine. So anyway, definitely call me if you've got any of those symptoms, even ADD, depression, sleep apnea, snoring, deviated septums, headaches, breathing problems, things like that. Now, I'm not saying that I'm fixing the sinuses and breathing problems and allergies. All I'm doing is moving the skull through the sinuses, and when you open up the skull, obviously it'll open up the sinus passageways, and then you can breathe better. So definitely give us a call and we'll answer any questions you may have. Thank you.